Hi everyone. It's Wednesday, the 20th of June. See, I can see that because it's written on there. So it's block of the week. Sarah should be all ready. Talking of which, I better turn my phone down. She's at Hochanda, or Create and Craft as it is now. So she's all opened and ready to go. She'll be on the Create and Craft Extra. Now I find it on my on the website on YouTube, but we will see whether oh, I don't know what that's doing. We will see whether or not start again, Sarah. She's on Create and Craft Extra today at 2 o'clock. I find it on YouTube, but apparently you can find it on Sky and that lot. You just have to have a look for it. I can't remember all the numbers of the I'm not going to get my words out at all today, am I? I can't remember the numbers that are on. I've had my hair cut. I said I'd leave it down to show you, but I'm getting hot now, so I'm just going to shove it up. Okay, so it's too warm, isn't it, for you to be worrying about that. So put that. These quilt clips are really fab for putting your hair up. Right, okay, who's there? Hiya everyone. Hi Jean. Hiya Kate. There we are. Sarah's just put up, it's Freestat 818 or Sky 673. YouTube is easier, just put in Craft Extra Live and she'll come up. Hiya Jill, how are you feeling? I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're feeling a bit better today. It is a little bit cooler. They did say it was going to rain about 3 o'clock here, but the last time I looked at the weather, it was no longer raining. So we shall see. We shall see. We had a bit of plurts yesterday and some thunder, which was quite exciting. So we shall go from there. Right, I have to be honest. Given block of the day, I had no idea what I was going to do. And I had this idea. I got this picture that was a graphic on Pinterest. And I thought, I'll make a block out of this. And how I sorted it out seemed a bit complicated. So we've looked at it and we quite like the block and we're going to work on it and try and make it a little bit more simple. Because I'd spent my prep time doing that. I thought, can I show them that's really quick? Because I don't want to run over into Sarah's. I want you to go and spend more money over there. And thank you very much for those of you who bought stuff on our sale yesterday. We must have done 40 odd orders in all. So thank you very much. Right, so I thought one of the quilts that I did that I love the most was a one that was done with Calfacet fabrics on the internet and everything, but we changed it in such a way that we did it so that it became all one colour on one of the rounds instead. I mean, I made it. And my quilt was 56 different colours in there, but we managed to whittle it down that you could do it with just 6 different colours and using the same colour for the inner thing. Now I couldn't find my quilt before I left the house this morning, so I've had a quilt on the settee. Now I've brought it, but remember it's been sat on by me and the dogs, okay, and she's chewed one corner as well, my darling little girl. But this is what we're going to make. Okay, this is the thing. I don't know how. Oh look, I just got the bit of me doing my hair, so it's so slow. But this is the quilt, and it's a bit grubby. Could do with a wash, but the block is, where am I? The block is this bit, okay? And you just repeat it over and over, and then it's how you put it together that becomes the thing. So you start with, I think that's a whole one there. So you start with a whole one, and then you just build it up. So eventually it looks like you've thrown it down. I'm very embarrassed about this, but it was the least thing I could do was bring one that you could see it. Look, see, she's chewed the corner there. So there we go. So you would start with this block here. I don't know whether that's, yeah, that'll be all right. You start with that one, and then you build it so it looks like, it gives you the illusion that these things have just been thrown, and you've got, and you build them up. And then you look at this, and you can see where it was fairly new for me doing all these, because my points are terrible, absolutely awful. So we are going to, you can see it, all squared up. Yes, Taryn did a beautiful all squared up. We love it. So we will, I'm just reading the things. Can't see the what on the screen? The grub on the screen. Oh, that's good. Oh, I'll stop telling you how dirty it is then. Right, so one of the ladies that did the class, she managed to do a load of blocks but never finished it. So she gave everything to me. And this is made out of Robert Kaufman fabrics. Now, I love them. Okay, so you're going to need a neutral colour. Okay, so this is your neutral colour here. You're going to need a neutral colour and then one of your colours. And you're going to do half square triangles with those. Now, if you made, because you end up with by doing 2 of these, you would end up with 4. If you're going to, and then you can reuse that, you know, the one that's missing here has been reused here. So you just move them around, and we worked it out. For fabrics not to touch, you could do it with 6 fabrics, because who has 56 things that they can use that are all the same in batiks? So I'm going to use this Robert Kaufman. Hi Ali, how you doing? So we go in with half square triangle. So you put your 2 fabrics right sides together. Okay, just doing this, and I'm going to use an iron off, but you don't need to. Right, hang on. So we do it 3. Okay, we here. Have you got me in there? So you've put your 2 fabrics right sides together, and you're going to draw a line corner to corner. All right, now this is probably not a good quilt for directional. Just purely and simply because you're going to be twisting them. Okay, so we've drawn the line, and now we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch on either side. Okay, so over to the thing. 5 inch, I think it is. Yeah, it's 5 by 5 the square. I think we've got green thread in here. I think we're stuck with green thread. We'll do it. There is no thread. Didn't think to have a look at it and sort it out. It's silly of me, really. But, okay, so follow the little instructions. under there, up there, round. Oh, there we go. Oh, this is, do you know, when you do these things, you miss your automatic threader when you start using other needles. Right, now I think it was 5.5. I had to move it over, wasn't it? No, that's not it. That's it. I think 5.5 was quarter of an inch. Right, okay. So we're going to sew quarter of an inch on either side. So I've moved my needle to what I think is quarter of an inch on this one, and we're going to just sew down one side and up the other. Okay. That's better. It's like driving another person's car. This is. No. What's an E5? So put that down there. Oh, I see. I've done that. Don't want that. Okay, so we've sewn quarter of an inch down either side, like that. So let's go back to here. Okay, so I've sewn that, and we're going to just chop it off down the middle. All right, like that. I mean, it is a really easy block, and once you've cut it all out, you can just look at it, and you can chain piece it. Right, let's have a look and see what we've got here. So we're only going to work on the one for now. All right, so we're looking at this. I love these fabrics. Right, so we can get a 4.5. I've sewn that quite well. I can get a 4.5 out with only just trimming a little bit. Okay, so you make sure that everything is within the 4.5. A bit squaff. So I'm just going to trim it down to the 4.5. So I've trimmed two sides. So I now have a corner that I know should be 4.5. So I'm going to line it up with 4.5 and 4.5, which is that point there. Okay, over a bit. Only just. There we go. So we have this now. So this is going to be our fabric that we are doing as a mid thing. Now there were some cut somewhere. I mean, it's nearly all cut and everything. There's so much fabric here. So I need to set it out and have a look and see. Is that big enough? Look at that, it's perfect. So we need one that will go along one side and one that will go along the long side. That will be that one. Put those over there, like that. So you always need your background fabric, which is the white one. You need to make sure that that one is in the top left hand corner, and you're going to build this around the white. Okay, you're always going to be building around the white, your background colour. All right, so I'm going to sew this one down and then sew the other one. So let's go to 4. So what you all been up to? Okay. So these strips are 2.5 inch wide, so they're ideal for a charm pack and jelly roll. It would be an ideal pattern that if you have a charm pack and a jelly roll, you don't know what to do. Just by adding background and an accent colour, that will oh no, I don't need to do that. I need it on the edge, don't I? I'm a woman on the edge. Right. So I'm going to sew that onto the left hand side of my background colour. Like that. Okay. Like that. I'm just going to finger press because Sarah's tidied up. There's no iron here and I didn't think to go looking for it in time. So we shall just do this and then we're going to sew this one now. Again, touching the white. Okay. Make sure that my seam is tucked. There we go. Right, okay. So we now have this and we are 3/4 done. Okay, so the only rule with all of this really, I mean you can make this a different colour but stick to the same colour for each block. This has to be the same colour going around the outside, otherwise it doesn't really work. So we're going to sew this on top of what we've already sewn. Okay, so it's going to go like that. Alright, so what you all doing? This quilt, I just really, if I only made one quilt for the rest of my life, it would be this one. I just think there's so much you can do with this. I love a half square triangle anyway. And it just makes me happy. I mean, I made mine in batiks, surprise, surprise, because I had 56 different batiks. But we did a little plan on how to cut out of a fat quarter, because most people will have collected 6 fat quarters of something. You know, I mean, it would make a really good scrappy quilt as long as you had at least a fat quarter of your of any one fabric. It won't work if you do everything in. Oh, no, that's a lie. It would work, but it won't give the same effect. How's that? That's better, isn't it? So we're going along here. Oh, the Moody Blooms. I don't think you can have a bad quilt with a Moody Bloom. It's you know, it's like this. I mean, I love the Robert Kaufman, the Calf Fassett and Tilda. They're what I would probably go for. They're my type of fabric. I just love them. But I buy, if I'm going to buy that type of thing, I buy that off Sugar Bowl Craft, because they do all of those fabrics. There we go. So you would press that out and then you would you need to cut it then to, you trim it back to an 8.5 inch block. There we go, an 8.5 inch block. Now, I think Sarah, what's that one? Ah, that one will do. That'll do, pig. So you're then going to make sure that you get 8.5. Ooh, I'm a bit short. I think probably one of the best things to do is make them all and then trim them down, because I can get 8.25. Having not cut it, I don't know whether I've got all the measurements are right. You know, your strips are 2.5 inch, so it should come to 8.5. But I'm extraordinarily bad at all this, getting the things. It's a good job I don't wear these things, isn't it? But what I would do is I would make them all and then trim them to the size that I need. So without further ado, we're just going to move on and have a look and see, because she's given me, see, all of these are already made, which just is amazing. So what we got here, let me show you how it will all go together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, and then if I go with 3 of these, 1, 2, 3. So I will have a look at our pattern of this and sort it out and see whether we can, I'll tidy it up so that you can have it right. So you would then put these together. So your original one, you want them to be in a 4, okay, like that. Okay, so you put them together like that. Then let's put that over there, and then you're going to build them so that they go around. So you would make sure that it looked like that 4 was slotted underneath, and it would do that. Okay, so that as you're building it, you start with the 4, then you'll put this 3 here, okay, and then you would just slot them. There doesn't have to be a pattern, but they've all got to look as if they're being thrown, and then depending on the size, you would put just a single one in there. But you need to make sure that this is sitting around a corner. It won't work if it's not like sat round a corner. I suppose you could put it so that it was half a one, but then you're just stacking them. I mean, I've seen them where they've got this full square in the middle, and then they've built it outwards in a circle. That would work as well. So the best thing to do then is you lay it all on the floor with your blocks. Your blocks, it's still like this, okay? So that you would then lay it all out, and then you want to sew it in rows and keep putting your rows back down. That's the thing, is you need to sew it in rows. You can't sew your squares together and then put it together unless you like Y seams. You need to lay it out like this. I mean, the amount of quilts of this that we've done in the shop where the quilt is in the middle of the shop and we're picking patches up and moving them around to make sure that they all fit in, and it's surprising how different they all look just by changing the fabrics that you use. It's just amazing. I love this quilt, absolutely love it. So I will look at it for you and make sure that it's all typed out properly, because this would have been done way before I had a clue how to write a pattern. or anything. But all you need to remember is you need at least 3. You need one that's got 4 of these in, and the rest of them have to have at least 3. But if you make all 4, you can use the 4th one on the outside to add them in. You want 2 5-inch squares, one of your background, one of your main fabric. Then you trim that to 4.5. This would be 2.5 by 4.5. This is 2.5 by 6.5. This is 2.5 by 6.5, and then this is 2.5 by 8.5. If you're like me and your sizing doesn't quite come out, then you could increase the size, the sizes for you to have to cut down. But it's a good way of making sure that you're dead on. Okay, it's a good way of making sure that your finished block would be right. Now it could be that the needle is not in the right place, could be the fact that I've not pressed it open, but I've got 2.25 at the top. I've got 2.25 at the top, but only 2.125 down here. I mean, maybe I shouldn't tell you that I'm not getting the right amount, but I'd rather be truthful with you. But you should end up with an 8.5-inch block. I know people that would be able to get an 8.5-inch block. But there you go. Right, so that's it. Okay. If you make them and you want a hand to put them together, I'm more than happy to lay it out, and we jump around the shop putting them all together. Don't forget, Sarah is on in a bit. Oh, wrong one. Hang on. Is that better? Have I been doing the wrong one? No, this one's not mine, Karen. This is Sarah's old machine because Sarah's taken hers up to Create and Craft. Mine is probably twice the size of this one now. Did I just talk all of that on the wrong camera? I did, didn't I? Do you want me to go back over anything? You need to, yeah. You need 5-inch squares, make half square triangles, chop them up to 4.5, and then the rest of them are 2.5-inch long, wide. You could just do like Cheats log cabin, where you just sew them down and chop them off, which is what I would do probably. Okay, so you could do that. Where are we? Oh, look, it's only 1/2 and I've already made a couple of blocks, so I've got a whole bag full of blocks. So have a go, just make yourself a lap quilt like I did, and it's become very handy. Okay, am I still on the wrong camera? No, camera. It's a shame that I can't hear you, isn't it? Okay, so only some of it was on the wrong camera. Thank you. So any problems, I will go and have a look at the pattern. I'll put that down as one of the things that I've got to do. And if I ever get around to finishing this quilt, which I hope I will let you see this one as well. And if I find my other one, I will put a picture up of it. Okay, right, go and get yourself a cup of tea and a sandwich, and get ready. See if you can find Craft Extra Live ready for Sarah at 2 o'clock. And I will see you tomorrow. We're doing machine couching. Not tried that either, so that's going to be fun. I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, no I won't. No.